Okay, thank you everyone for joining this very first Mentor Circle Malaysia HR Forum session. So today I think we have guests of honor, all right, two of distinguished guests. So first of them, the Tila Supia. She's the founder and CEO of People Synergy Asia. And of course, next we have, let me see, Dashnan, sorry. I will let them do the introduction from their end. Then, of course, we will run through some of the discussion topics that we will look into, because I think now we have MCO, we have CMCO, we have RMCO, so a lot of COs, right? So what now? So as a HR practitioner, human capital industry, what would be the do's and don'ts, right? Of course, we have Dash here to also help us answer on issues, tips, and methods to address on IR. So next, last but not least, will be an open dialogue where we'll have conversation. I think many of us here are practitioners, so a lot of problems we face is very relatable. So without further ado, I will pass the introduction to Thila. Then next, we'll go to Dash. Thila.
Hi everyone, my name is Tila Supia. Yes, I've been in HR for many years. I've been practicing for about 20 years. And currently I own my own organization where I actually advise people. And the three focus that I focus on are culture, engagement, and people, obviously, because these are the most three driving force. And of course, I do a lot of HR consulting as well. So that's a little bit about me.
Thila, what area of HR you focus?
Well, I'm a generalist. I've always been a generalist, but my initial background is from com and ban. But I do, in terms of some of the aspects that I do is based on what is the requirement from the individual organizations and the person there.
Okay, thank you. We will explore further with Thila. Dash, back to you.
Hi everyone. Okay, my name is Darshan Kumar. I'm actually a lawyer and also an IR practitioner. I've been practicing IR for close to 5 years now. So anything in relation to industrial relations matter, which is collective bargaining, collective agreements, trade disputes between workmen and employers, and dismissal cases, disciplinary issues, you can definitely ask or ask me regarding those issues per se lah. That's very short introduction for me.
Out of a joke, right? You are on the employer side or the employee side?
Both.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dash. We will explore further. Not forgetting, we have my co-host will be Zorab. I think I will also get Zorab to introduce himself as well.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon to all of you. Yes, thank you, Leo. In the presence of our two, very experienced guests or mentors, Tila and Darshan. So very quickly to all of you, my name is Zorab. I'm also the founding member or founder of my own company, Enablers Consulting Solution, providing HR advisory, business improvement culture, managerial development programs, as well as mentoring and coaching in terms of services. I have got more than 20 years of work experience in multinationals, predominantly in the financial or the general insurance industry. Covered the operations, covered technical roles, covered people development roles. So one package deal lah, if you want. So I will be the host with Leo, whereby we have your questions that we have already collated. So I'll be asking our two dear mentors here to share later on. So back to you, Leo.
Okay, thank you, Zorab. And last but not least, a little bit about myself. I'm also a founder and CEO for a company called TradeQuest. On the side, I'm also an OD practitioner. So I also engage myself with our OD related kind of methods, right? Development, succession planning, talent development. We are also a gamification advocates that we apply gamification techniques and game thinking model. So so today the what do you call it? The main highlight is not about me. So I'll pass to Zorab to start off some of those questions that we have prepared. Of course, at between the session, we will chip in also to make it more conversational, so that we can discuss some of those issues, some of the burning problems that employer face, or at the same time employee face, because Dash represent both sides. So yes. Yeah,
Okay,
so
thanks,
okay, I'll pass to Zorab. Thanks.
Yeah, in the time that we have, I think there's so many questions. Let's get going. So the first question, I think, is going back to be fundamental. I think let's look into HR, human resource, human capital, or people officers that we now are known with. I think the very basic is, what should be our role in this current context, the whole pandemic situation. Perhaps let's hear from our, someone who's very experienced already. Tila, what should be the core role now?
Thank you, Zara, for the question. So what's very important right now, I think, is not about thinking about other things, but the focus on human capital for HR. How do you manage your human capital? Yeah, of course, because if you don't know how to manage your human capital well, how are you going to manage the other aspects? So human capital, I'm talking about focusing right from hiring, get people on board, your onboarding system, your onboarding processes, talking about, when you do disciplinary processes, how do you keep people motivated at this current situation? And if you're getting people to work from home, yeah, what is it like? Are you getting them, since they're working from home, do they work, there is no work-life balance, meaning they are there for you on your back and call, that you keep calling them as and when you like? These are all challenges. And as you know, I share a lot about HR, and I hear a lot. One of the biggest challenge people feel is that they're not getting the work-life balance or life balance. Yeah. So HR's focus should be a lot in terms of trying to manage, support the employee, looking into the well-being of the employee. The mental health is one of the issues that is still taboo in the HR environment, but has to be addressed. Right now, this is one of the issues that has not been really touched upon. This is something that we have to look at. Working from home, virtual working, what is it like? Hiring, what is it like? Performance management, how do you set KPIs? So from the whole aspect, HR has to be human capital management together with the leadership. It's no longer you are just focusing on day-to-day being busy with operations, but more into take a step back, looking at, okay, this is the current situation. This is not going to go away now. This is our norm. It's no longer new norm. This is our norm. So what's next? I mean, I remember some time back when I actually introduced mask wearing in the office. I think this is pre-COVID. I wouldn't say pre-February 2020. And I actually bought a mask, and I was laughed at that time for being proactive, for providing masks. So now we want him to be proactive. You cannot wait to be reactive. I mean, whether the numbers are going down, the curves are flattening down or not, this is the new norm, and we have to be proactive. So I think one of the things that we totally forget is how to be proactive as a HR and support the management. And HR shouldn't be the last one to know what's happening. We should be the first one to know what's happening. So yeah, a little bit. Later on, we can go into details.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, thanks. Well, okay. So I hear from you. So actually, HR now, those of you, be proactive. We are actually the frontliners of the organization. We not have to be playing the part of being human-centric, being empathetic to the entire situation. I think that's what I'm hearing from Tila. Leo, do you have something to probe or clarify? Because I know you also may have also received some questions.
Yeah, I mean, and just to echo to what Tila has shared, last year has been a challenging year. I think we all echo to that very much. In actual fact, when March hit with MCO and may and go. I mean, since we are talking about MCO, MCO, and all the COs, right? And we have done a prediction. I mean, not really prediction, but a unofficial survey with about, I think, roughly 500 kind HR, and we found out that working from home, it was a dream. It was a dream for everyone until MCO hit. Because it's not as nice as, blossoming, that is fun. Not everyone has a conducive environment, distraction with from your family. You have to do cooking, and the burnout of employee and also HR was tremendous. So how does, I mean, just to add on from that part, how would HR kind of balance that as a HR practitioner?
I think what's very important is to obviously have, your own list. I normally have, like urgent, what's not urgent list, and what are the days that I need to have meetings, what are the days, and I think setting priorities, because I'm also a mom and a wife, so I also do, the cooking part, and yeah, every single thing. So I think very important having time management. In between the time management, really setting aside, if it is your lunchtime, then you take your lunchtime. Yeah. I always used to have a habit of working lunch. Trust me, after MCO, there's no working lunch. Yeah, I actually have the time because I need to, we need to go in and get things done for the family as well, because the family is also, with us. And I have to agree with you, Leo. Before MCO, working from home was a dream. Trust me, it was a dream for me, and I really enjoyed the flexibility I had. But after MCO, no, I agree with you. The stress, the burnout, the time management is tough. But I think at sometimes we as humans adapt to a certain tune, to a certain schedule. So I guess we have to get that. But important to also, get in touch with your colleagues. So what we normally have is sessions. Sometimes we also have working lunch online with the other team. So that gives us the opportunity to also keep in touch. I think one of the most important uh, aspects of being HR is being human. And I think one of the things that is missing is the face-to-face interaction, the coming together as a team, in a working environment. So these are all things that's missing. So I think by going on virtual, by going into connections with WhatsApp, by going into, we have exercise classes together, we have social media, sharing. So when we do all this, I guess, I think sort of gives us some closeness. And I think that's equally important.
Yeah, I think definitely the biggest word for this now will be engagement, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you,
So
Sila. Yeah.
Nice,
So
Maybe-
just to also go into Dash, since we are on the topic
Yeah.
of employee and all that, I have known to give hard questions, so I have this one hard question for Dash. So since MCO until now,
Leo, maybe before your hard question, otherwise maybe Dash will kill us lah. Haven't worked. Maybe
Okay.
let's just quickly hear, because he just now you asked him, he represent both, right?
Okay.
Maybe let's hear from his side, the clients that he works for, not the employees, right? What are their HR, or what do you see that the HR role is playing now? Just very quick.
The HR role, okay, I deal with companies ranging from small companies to big companies. Small companies, they will only have an HR department. And when they have an HR department, then they have to deal with everything: recruitment, talent, disciplinary issues. But then when you go towards bigger companies, they will have a separate department, the industrial relations department, who handles industrial related cases. That is the difference of company-wise and how the HR will handle it there. So come back to the question, to your question. For bigger companies, what is the HR role? The HR role is just to act as a middleman between the industrial relations department and the affected employee. Smaller companies, they just do it directly. That is their role. They will obviously have to prepare the show cause letters, the procedures, the domestic inquiry, etc., to make sure the proper procedure is followed.
Okay. Wow. All right. Thanks, Dash. Okay, so now since he's warmed up, Leo, fire away.
Preparing. I mean, not to say it's a very hard question, but I think everyone would be interested to find out since MCO till now, right? This is a very, I think, a question everyone asks. What are the IR cases like?
What are the IR cases like? It's all the same. It's always been the same for the past 20 years. Retrenchment, redundancy, misconduct, poor performance. It's never changed. But of course, right now, given the COVID situation, there will be more retrenchment cases. But I won't say that some employers, they don't resort to retrenchment. Instead, they will go through the route of poor performance or misconduct, because going through the route of retrenchment, there are certain benefits that need to be paid out. So instead of that, you take the route through poor performance and or misconduct. That way, you do not need to pay benefits. I mean, this is the tactics some employers to play with. But to answer your question, or the cases, it's still the same. No changes.
But in terms of the numbers, will there be a hike of that?
Of course, there's a significant increase since last year March, because one, the Jabatan Perhubungan Perusahaan, which is the Industrial Relations Department, is sometimes closed, sometimes open because of MCO, CMCO, all these instructions from the government. Some say essential, some say not essential. So they are receiving complaints, or what we call representations for dismissal, on a piece-by-piece basis. So already, they cannot conduct the due process in the industrial relations process. That by itself will create a backlog there. And then the moment it goes to the next stage, which is the industrial relations court. Industrial relations court also is not deemed a really essential service. So also, they are also closed, which creates a further backlog of cases. Now, back to your question, yes, there is a significant increase, but right now at the court, they're still dealing with the cases probably that has been referred to in March or July. And then all the other representations are still slowly getting on. For example, I had this one case, they were dismissed last year, December, and their representation was just referred to the industrial court on the 27th of January, almost a year. So that shows the significant delay there.
Oh, last year, 2019 December. Wow. Okay. Cool.
Sorry, the previous year, not last year.
Actually, very good. Leo, so don't mind jumping in here, since you raised IR already. Tila also later, you just chip in. Let's go back some, because there are some questions, right? I think it's more specific. Let's get Dash, our IR subject matter here to run through. I think let's go by a few things. I give you a scenario. You tell me, as an IR practitioner, does this constitute either a disciplinary or a performance issue? Let's start with one, the one that I think is also in the minds of many. We know we have so many restrictions, right? The MCO, CMCO, RMCO, until the MKN, we are also losing track about which version to read. And so many rulings that came out from MITI and all the governing bodies for employers. Question is scenario. If I'm a staff of company A, right? Okay, we are essential service. I'm allowed to do something. However, there are certain things that's prohibited. I breached it. I actually kena saman, I actually, PDRM issued me a saman, at the cost of me being an employee. Is that a disciplinary issue or not?
That it's very hard to say in that circumstance. Now, the saman has been given due to the conduct of what he did during that phase of period. But he is just a summon. He can challenge it in court.
Okay, so not yet lah, right?
Not yet, because if he's found guilty, then the company can take it as a disciplinary issue. You have now been convicted as an offender. So the company cannot act quick on this kind of matters. They must take it slow, listen to the side, because there is a presumption you're innocent until proven guilty. So that's a presumption here. Unless it's very clear cut, like you're an employer, no, he clearly breached it. There's no way because it's not going to find him guilty, or he paid the compound.
Yeah.
Because someone you can just pay, and then usually that most of the time won't be recorded lah. So it still won't be considered as a disciplinary offense. But I mean, I say that very carefully lah.
Okay, so not yet lah. So there are still a process of you're innocent until proven otherwise. Maybe let's hear from Tila, right? Tila, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I want to just refer back to one of the cases that happened. We actually had someone that we hired who had a previous record with the police. Yeah, and as you know, we are doing business inside the aviation support industry, so which means that we have to make sure that we follow certain rules and regulations. But this person's case is previous. Yeah, and but I think at that time we wanted to follow what the regulation was set. Yeah, so we did not retain him. We let him go. Yeah, saying that we cannot hire him because we are following airport regulations and so forth. Let me tell you what happened. He won the case in industrial relations because we were following airport regulations. We didn't have our own rules. So I think what's very important is that was his previous case. So that one is one of the learnings that for me, I would say that whatever actions that was the previous, when the employee is coming back and working with you guys, you need to have a set of regulations. And if you don't have a set of processes and you're saying that just because you had this before, you're also, sort of setting a standard that just because you did this before, we're not taking you in. So that's another. So I think it's very it's a bit inhumane as well. But at the same time, set your process right. Yeah. I don't think so. You should just judge the person by what the person did previously, and then punish the person for that, and not bring them in the. And that obviously proven in court that he actually won the case. Yeah. So this is what I would say. Sorry, Zarab, can't hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Tila. So to our members out there, I hope this has given you some insight. So I think what we gathered from Tila so far and what's shared, actually, it goes back to your own policies. You need to have your own regulation. That's where your role as HR is so important now. As what Darshan said, it's not as easy as is a black white. Summon means no. There is still a process, and I think all this has to be documented right in order to take it through. Yeah. One more question, then I will let relating to the same thing. Now it's also SSL. Work from home. Just now we talk about remote working. Everybody said, oh, it used to be fun, right? Oh, now realize it's actually not so fun after all, right? This is also for both of you, Dash and Tila. Hey, here we also hear staff take the advantage, right? If they say, I say take advantage. Hey, supposed to come into office for meeting, for training, but then they say no lah, cannot. Scared the cases is still going up, and we are under that time RMCO cannot lah, I don't want to come lah, or CMCO cannot come lah. But then you suddenly check on social media, they sort of go out there, yamma, minum kopi lah with friend go here, go there. What say both of you based on experience? Is this a disciplinary matter that the company can look into?
Okay, there's a lot of so there's a lot of underlying issues, but let's focus on the most important one. I think working, regardless whether working from home or remote working, most important is that we need to have established trust between both parties, employer and employee. And let me tell you, currently this trust is getting thinner and thinner. The more we extend the MCO, it's getting thinner and thinner, and it's really divided. it's a place where we are in. It's really tough. Why? To get trust, we need both parties to work together. So are both parties working together? No, we don't know. And I hear you, Zora, what you're saying, like they're going out. We have to look at both ways. They are not coming in because they know there is a sort of a risk. At the same time, they also know they have a responsibility. But another point, from the trust basis, how much do we trust our employees, that they're actually finishing the work in the time that they have at home? Maybe we are not seeing them face to face, but they could be finishing the work. So maybe that's why they are, and another thing about social media. Let me just tell you, 10 years ago when I went into a company, and I was 10 years ago. So yeah, before, I think you were still schooling, Dash, but it's okay. And I use my phone, and I use my phone in at work, and immediately my seniors, who are obviously 10, 20 years, right? They were like, why are you using the phone? You should not be using your phone during work. Okay, that was 10 years ago, right? Coming back in front, 3 years ago, I joined a new company, and immediately the first thing I was given, my phone and a headphone. I asked, why did you give me a phone and a headphone? I have both. Oh, the headphone is for you to listen to music, and sometimes also for you to go into a call, because this is where we are. So can you imagine? I was shocked. And if this happened 10 years ago, you know what I mean? So to a certain extent, we need to have some flexibility, because we're also dealing with different generation. Yeah. So in terms of social media, whether they are on the phone or I believe you need to have some flexibility. Yeah, no doubt I have many years of experience, but I'm also quite in tune with what's happening now. So understanding the needs of the talent that we have, whether you have your, generation X, Y, Z, millennials, baby boomers, you need to know what's important to keep them together.
All
I
right,
think that's
nice.
very important.
Okay, so we hear, so trust is very key. Don't judge. I think the scenario doesn't straight away warrant you to jump on it. Let's hear from Dash, because it's on more legalistic side. Let's see whether got any such thing as a legal side of this.
Honestly, all IR matters are just based on equity and good conscience. Okay, but coming back to your question, now this employee, the scenario given, this employee is asked to come into office to attend meetings. But then he says CMCO, MCO, I can't, I don't want to come. All that. First and foremost, that's already insubordination. Okay. You ask me to come to a meeting. I say no. MCO, blah blah blah. Give all the reasons. That's already insubordination. You cannot turn down your employer. I mean, provided that you are allowed to travel to work. This is given that under the new MCO rules, that 30% people can come to the office, or essential services also can come to the office. Now, just putting that aside, putting this entire CMCO, where there's an instruction, you have to come. Now, if on the other hand, they ignore the first instruction and then they go on their own merry way doing everything, for example, going to the mall, going Yamcha, drinking here and there, and then they get caught. They get caught during working hours. Must be fair. It must be during working hours. If they do get caught during working hours, it's definitely a disciplinary issue. You claim one thing, but then you're doing another thing. You're also lying to your employer. This breaches the fiduciary duty between the employer and the employee. It breaks all trust. That is already a misconduct by itself.
Wow. Oh, so okay. So it's not so easy to just say it's a small matter. It's actually quite a serious matter then. I mean, hearing what Dash say, first is it you already breached, is it in a way it's insubordination, right? You don't even respect the command, and then that you breach the fiduciary duty, and more so if it's during office hours. Okay, so HR practitioners out there, now you know, yes, we have empathy, we have trust, but still there are certain basic rules, I would say rules, or the policies and the office responsibility and ownership that each still need to
I
play
want to add on something. Of course,
yeah, sure.
you have to take this into consideration with the company's own policies, like what Ila said. There will be two different sets of companies. One that is very strict, one is very, one that places a lot of trust in its employees to grow them or whatever it is. So you need to take into account all other relevant factors. But as it is, when you don't follow instructions, you know what's the punishment there is.
All right. Okay. Thank you to both. Leo, okay. We'll let you take on some more questions that's coming.
I mean, just also to add on to the questions that you posted earlier, I think one interesting perspective I see, and I would like to add into that would be we need to balance between the humanizing part, the trust, the values, and the policy, right? But I think that poses another factor that involved would be the industry, right? In this situation, because some industry allows that flexibility. You can do we call it meritocracy, right? Rather than going by time and all that, especially younger organization or tech organization, you will see that sort of approach. The other point also, if we put on that sort of strict policy, then the younger generation, I'm combining these two factors. The younger generations, you will have this what we call talent loss. You see, younger generations, I mean, a lot of organization experiencing this, a lot of talent loss. They will jump, the strawberry generation. There's a lot of terms being called on that. So I would say the policy now has to also factor in this sort of new generations, new approaches, and all that. So on that note, right, without taking on the legacy like what Tila mentioned 10 years ago and all that, what would be next? Considering that if we, let's say, the new normal is normal, it will continue until the end of the year, even with vaccine, right? I think we all saw the news that even with vaccine, we still need to adhere to the SOPs. Doesn't mean that we can start removing our mask and walk around, right? So how will you see this continue going on? And then also combining with what you all just shared and what I've added on also.
Well, I think we have to keep on evolving. I think that's very important. One of the most important key factor would be to look at new ways to keep people engaged, to keep building positive culture. Yeah. Why I keep saying that is because I think when you talk about growth, productivity, performance, and effectiveness, I think you can only achieve as an organization if you get culture, engagement, people together. If they are not together, they don't understand your vision, mission, values, nothing is going to work. You can have 20 pages of slides, it will remain slides, right? It will never be envisioned. So I think getting them together, understanding the different generation is one, and of course trying to fit into one cohesive environment. Like as you say, virtual is one. Leo, you do gamification. A lot of organizations is also looking into gamification development activities. They're also looking at a lot of development programs, because one of the focus moving forward is also upskilling. Upskilling our employees is very important. Regardless our current situation, upskilling, motivating, empowering, and engaging our employees are these are the four important scope that they're looking at. Why I say that is that when you get to do all this properly, right, you'll have less industrial relations challenges. Yeah. If you do your, managing your employees in a better way, you will have less challenges. I just had an example of one of the companies who are doing poor performance tactic to reduce employees, and they're doing it the quick, fast way, because everybody wants the quick, fast, easy way. But let me tell you, the quick, fast, easy way will end up in court, and we are the ones who are the employees who look stupid. Sorry to say, but Dash is also smiling. All of you are smiling, agreeing. So I agree. Yeah. So understand, having to know if we can slowly, it's a phase. It's all is a progress. You have to do it slowly, but upskilling is very important. Empowering is important, and getting them And you know, the generation is different, yeah. They want to be same level with us. They don't want to be in a way that, you know, there's a brown door that you have to knock to go through bureaucracy and all that. It's not what they're looking for. So you need to have a lot of open sessions, transparency. We talk about transparency. And if you really need to do, example, salary deductions, things that are you know sensitive, but you need to get because it's their salary, and you know we need their consent to also do this and why we are doing it. So having a little bit more transparency is important. So these are the few that I can share.
Dash?
I have nothing actually to add on to this because honestly, it just comes and goes. Okay, you have to evolve with times. That's all I can say on this particular issue.
Yeah, actually, both you are. I also concur in a way with Dash. I think now it's a time to experiment. Actually, we are in the best moment of our lives and in our career. This is the time that you can explore, innovate, and be creative. No other time. I just attended one session 2 days ago. You know, all the technology regarding blockchain, all the transformation. What it took 10 years before to get acceptance, it was done just last year. Last year, just because of the 6 months initial 6 months, the adoption rate, and you see today the adoption of blockchain, how it has evolved, and of course, cryptocurrency, you put aside, you all know how it has boomed and gone to the roller coaster. All this just came into place. And I think this is the best time for those of you, regardless of your role, this is the best time.
I just want to also quickly add on to what both Tila and of course Dash shared there, right? One very close example, because I at the beginning I shared with everyone that I'm also OD for one of the shared service center. They have employed about 200. So last year MCO hit in, they have not let go anyone. What they did is they do a collective reduction of salary, because the board members find that they want to keep their talents, they want to keep the operations, they want to they don't want to be seen as the one during this sort of crisis. I let go people, and then the branding, employer branding. So this is going into another new area, right? Will be very bad. So by then, when you want, because nowadays when you hire people, right, I think everyone will start going to Glassdoor or Reveal or JobStreet to check on your company. What have you done? What the, you know, that is another topic we can go into. So I'm really impressed of how they managed to make this whole thing pull through, and everybody appreciates that, and all of them actually work extra hard for that. I think that is what employee wants, rather than just giving me high salary. I mean, employee wants to you know, go with the company, get the vision done, steer together the ship. So I think this is a very good example, and I know that a lot of organizations are also doing that. So I just want to put this out loud.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, Leo, for sharing it. So also, as you all are listening, right? Everyone here actually do have got real hands-on experience in what we do, and we are sharing this, and I hope it has been fruitful so far. That all of you who is watching and taking notes. There are going to be more sessions, but before we end, because we know time goes by so quickly in a sense, let me ask two quick questions to our two mentor guests here, Dash and Tila. So the first question is this, make it fast in terms of what do you think should be the way that the company will take on, or HR will take on this. First, let's go in this basic question, operational question. If an employee is quarantined, not tested positive, just quarantined because it's a close contact person, now everybody's got to compare. Is it considered a medical leave or is it annual leave? One of you, just a quick one. What do you think?
I'll throw this back to the HR. I'll throw this back because if you're going to take it out from their medical leave, or from their annual leave, because it's going to be thrown back at the HR. Because what is your policy on that? Yeah. What's important is what is your on that? How do you govern that? Because this is going to be here to stay for long. This is not going to be a quick fix solution anymore.
Okay.
So we have to find a solution. Yeah.
So it goes back to your own policy. How are you going to manage this? Okay, so that's being also very humanistic approach as what you were touching on earlier. Dash, this next question.
I think my answer would be determined on a few issues. If he is quarantined, that means he'll be working from home. Is he the type of worker that can work from home? If he can work from home, then no leave. No leave also should be given. You just work from home, continue.
Exactly.
Stay in your room, do your things, go on with life. On the assumption that he's one of those workers that cannot work from home, he's bound by law to stay at home. So now this comes back to Tila's answer. What is the company's policy? Usually, company cannot force you to take annual leave. Law is you cannot force an employee to take annual leave. You apply, they approve. Medical leave, of course, it's a less stricter leave. So company can tell you, okay, we're going to put you on medical leave or hospitalization leave. Okay, whatever it is, leave is leave at the end of the day. You still pay for it. Company still pays for it.
All right. Okay. Wow. Thank you. So you have it now, right? So it also depends. I hope this has given some. So final question. Quick one. We know this whole period since last year, companies still do hire, but a lot of them new hires came in and it's all on remote working. They are not there. As you know, there are some who join with a 3 months probationary period and 6 months probationary period. In all this confusion and the state of focus where you've got so many other things, hiring managers overlook, in the sense that the probationary period has lapsed. Now, very quick one. Is it an automatic confirmation that this person is now a confirmed staff that enjoys a full benefit? Yes or no? If no, what is the one thing that has to be done? Very quick one.
Definitely not a quick answer, but I'll try to make it quick. You have to look at the employment contract first. The employment contract will be provided there that will be confirmed upon a written confirmation given. That'll be one scenario. Another scenario is after the 6 months or 3 months, whatever it is, from you being a non-confirmed staff to a confirmed staff, there is an increase of benefits. When there is an increase of benefits, then that will count as an automatic confirmation. So that are the two scenarios. One, wait for written. Two, see whether there's any increase of benefits.
Nice, thank you, Dash. And Tila, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think since Dash covered some of the aspects, I would say for HR and the hiring managers, please take accountability. Have a sheet, Excel sheet where you can compute in terms of when is whose confirmation coming, and please be proactive. Don't wait for the employees to find out that they have gone out from the probation period. I think that's very, very important. I mean, I won't blame HR, I won't blame hiring, I'll blame both. Please do something about it. Yeah. So.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much to both of you. Wow. See, time really flies by, right? Leo, wow. I know it's such an honor to have both of them to be with us. This time that we have with them. So yeah, to those out there, I know there are a lot more questions. And do not worry. Do not fret. The forum space is still open, and there's a reason why this whole forum is set up. We will have future sessions that will go more into some of the topics that we're talking about. We'll talk about engagement, we'll talk about even hiring, we'll talk about disciplinary, we'll talk about performance, we'll talk about IR. Gosh, there's so many things, right? So today is an introduction and an opener to get to know our two, very experienced practitioners already, and of course Leo is also one of them, and myself. So we hope to see you all again in the times to come. And just before I sign off, quick words from the three of you. Let's start with Tila. One quick
Thank you everyone for having me on this session. I think the starting, I think many more sessions to come. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, everyone, stay safe. Thanks for tuning in.
And Leo?
Yeah, I think HR's role is now grown to be more and more important. We all see that accelerated since MCO now. So be the importance of the organization, you are definitely contributing to help the organization.
Great, wonderful words from all our practitioners here. Thank you all once again. Do stay safe, and to all who are celebrating Chinese New Year in the coming days ahead, wish you all a prosperous and safe Chinese New Year. Till then, goodbye from all of us.